Max, very well done. That was the most dominant win of the season so far. And after the disappointment of Melbourne last time out, how important was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, Melbourne wasn't great for us. And the start of the season in general wasn't amazing. So we needed a good weekend. I didn't expect it to be like this. But of course, when you have a weekend at the end of the day like this, that's incredible. I mean, a 1-2 for the team, but also maximum points scored. And also the way I think we handled the race. I think we didn't really make any mistakes. I think we made the right calls with switching from the inters to the slicks. And from there onwards, we just controlled the race. And it, of course, seemed probably easy on the TV, but you still have to be, focused, especially also with back markers. It's easy to, when you're on offline, to lock up or go through a wet patch and go off the track. So, just manage that. But the car was handling really well. I mean, of course, we saw that yesterday already in sprint qualifying, that we had good pace in the car and we could look after our tires probably quite nicely. So, very positive weekend.
As you say, the car has good pace. Do you think Red Bull now has the fastest car in Formula One?
It's always difficult to tell. Every track is different. If you look at Melbourne, definitely not. But it's all about, at the end, it's details. You have to always make sure that you have a good balance in the car. I mean, you can have the fastest car, but if you have a bad balance, it's not working. So, or you have to look after your tires. And these kind of things are very crucial with these new cars. And Miami again will be a big question mark, and it will probably be a bit hit and miss for some people. Hopefully, of course, it will do well, but you don't know at the moment.
As you say, it's harder than it looks on the TV, but what were the nervous moments, if there were any, today? Track conditions, reliability concerns?
Passing back markers. Some of them, they stayed, of course, on the dry line, and I had to pass them on the wet patches. And that wasn't amazing, but it is what it is. I mean, you just have to deal with it. But again, it's easy to then go off the track.
Very well done, Max. Thank you very much. Checo, coming to you now. Great job by you. Your second consecutive second place, giving Red Bull their first 1-2 finish since Malaysia 2016. Just talk us through your race on what was a great day for you and the team.
Yeah, they started really well with the start. I think we both had a really good start. And it was just about making sure those inters lasted, because I could feel the deck coming. I tried to manage the tire a little bit, but it didn't make any difference. I still died towards the end, and really my race started there. And Charles was just pushing quite hard towards the end of all the stints, so we were racing always onto the stop. The race felt under control pretty much towards the end of the race, but then he boxed and tried the undercut on us, so we did box again, and managing to make sure we didn't have any mistakes. It was pretty challenging out there. It was so easy today to make a mistake. So to come away with a 1-2 today, it's a great team result.
You were exchanging blows with Charles for so much of the race. Must have given you a good insight into the strengths of the two cars, both yours and Ferrari. What did you learn?
They were extremely quick through the chicane. I think their low speed was quite good. And I mean, you saw with Charles, he had the mistake there. So he was certainly pushing extremely hard through there. And he was just taking quite a bit of time out of me at each lap, So, but overall, a good weekend for the team.
Certainly was. Thank you, Checo. Lando, coming to you. A bit of a lonely afternoon here at Imola, but what a result. Another podium.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. Surprised, I guess, to be here, but feels amazing. So, from where we were, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or a month in Bahrain to being on a podium, I genuinely didn't think we would be on the podium all year after Bahrain. So it's quite a shock. Maybe not surprising after the kind of progress we made over the last month, but definitely on the podium. With how much quicker the Red Bulls and Ferraris are, it's hard to ever imagine yourself on the podium. And a great result today would have been P5, but a few just good things throughout this race. An amazing start to be ahead of both the Ferraris, stay out of the chaos which happened behind, and just I guess a lonely but a great race. Just managing the gap just every lap, really. The start already is always a bit more stressful. I had such a good one. I kind of got behind Sergio, I think, and got a bit squeezed by Charles onto the curb, so I had a bit of a moment there. But just kind of choosing when to go onto the intermediate or onto the mediums. You put one wheel slightly wide or tight or whatever, and you lock up, you're in the gravel, you're out. So every lap in these conditions, like it's hard to describe, I guess, to just a viewer, but inside, you have to push so much, you have to manage the tires, but then your line has to be perfect. And if you put yourself a little bit wide or you hit a curb wrong, like you probably saw, you're spinning and you're in the wall or something. So it's just stressful. Every lap like this, it feels like such a long race as well. So makes it even more rewarding when you.
It is a bit hit and miss. I mean, last year I had an amazing start here, and in the wet, these things are a bit more difficult to nail. And about the lapping part, I mean, they've been slow all year, so I mean, it's not really a surprise, or I feel happy lapping Lewis compared to anyone else. But yeah, it is what it is.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah, Joost Nederpelt, nu.nl. A question to Max and Sergio as well. Charles Leclerc went to the soft tire in the lap 50, I think it was. So he sort of forced you to go to that tire as well. Were you happy about that, or were you going to easily make it on the medium tires to the end?
I just heard that they were both boxing, so I was like, can I have some new tires as well, please? But it was already all planned anyway. So, I mean, if they're boxing anyway, I have the chance to do as well, right? Because I was up front. So, and it's always nicer to drive on newer tires than the old ones we had. I could have gone to the end, but it's just not as nice to go to the end.
Well, for me, I felt it was more comfortable to go to the end on that tire because Charles was under my control. But when he boxed, it was like another race, and going through that warm-up phase with those conditions, especially Charles, because I think he had a lap of warm-up on his tires, so it was again the racing was back on, and we were flat out with cold tires. And
we have slightly different driving styles, so they're not always identical, but in how we want to improve the car and get quicker, they're pretty much exactly the same. So that's a good thing. The guys and girls are focusing hard to come up with these new parts, and I'm confident over the length of the season we can continue to bring more and try and get closer.
On purpose.
And a word on Andrew's question about the regulation.
Well, I do think that the cars are better to follow. At least, you don't have these weird moments anymore of like big oversteer, big understeer. The cars are all the time, when you get within a second, it's hard to follow because of our cornering speed in the Formula 1 car. That will always be like that. But yeah, I do feel it's a bit nicer. Just the problem we have is, the tires. I mean, when we get close, you do burn your tires a bit more than you would like, and they overheat a bit more. But yeah, I mean, we consistently work with Pirelli anyway, about what we would like and what we would like to improve. So it's also very hard for them because it's a completely new concept.
The changes are good. The thing which doesn't allow you to get even closer is the tires, Like I'm managing pretty much every single lap in the race. Even in qualifying, you have to manage a bit. So, when you have these couple oversteers when you're following, when it gets a little bit harder, you pay the price very quickly. And that's what limits you to get that final bit to really overtake and maybe race as close as what you can in Formula 4 and things like that. So, like Max said, Pirelli are working hard to improve this. It's the first year on the tyre. They know what they need to work on, and I'm sure they'll come up with better tyres for next year.
Thank you. Let's come back into the room here in Imola. Next one.
Matt Q from Autosport. And a question to all three drivers, again on tyres. How much of the cooler temperatures played a part in the 5 red flags we had in qualifying? And also, what are your opinion on basically being pretty much a sitting duck coming out the pits because of how hard you're having to work to heat those tyres again?
Why don't we go right to left? Lando, you start.
From the second point, because I forgot the first. That's life. It's I know they're a bit colder than what they've been in the past, but it's always difficult on a track like this when the conditions are cold and and you have one line, you can't kind of push past the corner and warm up the fronts as easily and things like that. So, of course, it's more difficult, but just you have to deal with it. You have to take that into account with the strategy and trying to overcut and undercut and things like that. Makes it a little bit more of a challenge for us. I don't think